Baby, so go. Gagaramis. Baby, so go. Gagaramis. Baby, so go. Gagaramis. Baby, so go.
The following is a presentation of iRacing on PTR TV. We'd like to thank all of our channel partners for their support. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and we hope you enjoy today's broadcast. Tonight we head north of the border here into Canada at one of the most famous racetracks in the world. It's a hybrid permanent road course and a street circuit here, Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, Montreal. A plethora of chicanes, a plethora of long straightaways, and some tight confines with walls upon each side tests each driver's skill, the slipstream, and the pursuance of victory. Welcome everyone to PTR TV for tonight's coverage of the Red Sox Racing League in a new season here for the series. We have the Spring Series 3 here, so another 6-race mini-series to lead off the May and June time periods here with a little bit of changes from last season. Last season, of course, having the GT3 class along with the GTPs with the BMW hybrid. Now we are heading back to LMP2, which we ran about 3 seasons ago, I believe, where we will have that Dallara P217 LMP2 car fighting with our GT3 class. So per usual, it's going to be myself, Corey Silva, doing the double duty in the booth and in the production truck, giving all the action here on the evening. So as it stands, you can see that on the top left of your display that we do have 3.5 minutes left here in the session. That is the qualifying session. Our GT3s already have qualified, and that leaves our LMP2 class out to see what they can muster here on the evening. We'll bring up the ticker so that way you can be aware of what indeed is going on here on the evening. No surprise whatsoever to see Ryan Robertson on the top of the pylon, but not, well, actually, the practice times were a lot closer than the qualifying times, but that very much can change here. Mark Wilson over a second behind. Now, Montreal, we'll pull up a track map here so you can get a gist. I mean, I think everybody in the world basically knows this track, but in case you're the one that doesn't, the track map here at Montreal, you can see the 2.68 mile layout, 13 corners, of course, headed in this direction, so you'll take turn number 1 with my absolutely horrendous arrow that I just drew there, heading into the turn 1 complex, which is a chicane followed by a hairpin, and then the plethora of chicanes here. I mean, this is basically the track that defined what is a chicane. Is we have one right there, one right there, one right there, one right there, and one right there. 5 chicanes here at Montreal, and of course the big 180-degree hairpin corner there, which leads you onto a massive back straightaway here. So you will see a plethora of slipstreaming here, and you'll have a hard time breaking away from your competition. And here in qualifying, you kind of want to have a little bit of slipstream here to optimize your lap here. Again, Robertson up there with that 28.25. You can see down there in the GT3 class, Mark Kedrowski with the pole by only 2/100ths over Reed Rundle. And it does look like we have 8 to 10, so a fair split here amongst participation here. Shane Hunter and Aaron Law did not turn laps in the GT3 class, or rather for the LMP class here. They have yet to take to the time. I don't know if they're in the server or not, but big wiggle there from Dwayne McCarthy. Les Turner, I believe, if memory does serve, which it may or may not, at a correct manner, won the last LMP2 championship. He did win one championship a few seasons ago. It was either one of the BMWs where attrition was largely due to attendance, or it was actually the last of LMP2. It was one of those. I will probably get corrected of that in post, but currently third, we got McCarthy, Baron Pietri, and Kyle. Now, a couple heavy hitters not here this evening. Mitch Heller, who did win the BMW GTP championship in last season's race. Of course, we had the week off in between, which we did have a fun run, and I actually got to run with about 5 or 6 of these guys. Had a really good time. Robert Barrows did beat me in a race just by a whisker because I made some mistakes because, well, I am rather rusty when it comes to getting behind the driver's seat. But Mitch Heller not here on the evening, so it was kind of up in the air what class he was going to run. I think he was going to commit to running in the LMP class and hoping that Ryan Robertson ran with him here. Now Robertson did indeed do exactly that. He did run the faster class, which he has not done the last 2 seasons. But Montreal, maybe it's just an off week. Maybe we'll see him. Of course, you do have the drop week available to you here as Kevin Kyle try to turn a lap here as we are within our cool down session. So Kevin Kyle in the 65 just about to do a lap, see if he can improve. Doesn't look like he'll be able to. Also, Jason Breifogel not here in the evening either. So Red Sox Racing League is very much known for its regulars. I mean, as I've said a couple times, I've been covering these guys since 2018-ish, off and on, and I still recognize about 75% of these drivers from 2018, and definitely looking for some new participants there. So if you're watching this and you like some quick road racing, 35-minute affairs with pit stops, of course, look them up on Facebook, or you can look them up via the iRacing League interface there. But let's check out our weather conditions here. Again, from Montreal, slightly above the border on the northeast portion of the country. 77 in the air with an 81-degree track temp. And just past 7 o'clock virtual time. Now, to my knowledge, these Red Sox Racing League races do all use the fixed May 15th, which is the default kind of date in sim. So sometimes we run into sunset, sometimes we don't. So just by looking at it here, it looks like A, they're using a summer date, or B, sunset is just not really going to be a concern. So should have full illumination in tonight's event, but it looks like everybody has taken their time. So what we see on the left side of your display is basically going to be what we have here on the evening. So I want to thank everyone for tuning in here to PTR TV. If it's your first time, don't make it your last here, as we are still on our endeavor and our goal to get to 1,000 subscribers. I looked at the metrics. 58% of our viewers are not subscribed. So if we can convert even a portion of those, probably be right there at that goal that we do have targeted. So please help us out with that. And of course, that is the countdown timer going down to 0. So now no other steps are in the way of us getting down into the race. So let's head down trackside, give you that PTR TV starting lineup here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Starting tonight's race from the overall pole is going to be none other than last season's champion in GT3. It's going to be Ryan Robertson. Mark Wilson starting on the outside of the front row. In P2, well, row 2 rather, Les Turner and Dwayne McCarthy. Of course, being in Canada, this is a hometown race for each of those drivers. Todd Marinpietri and Kevin Kyle round out row number 3, and then this is our GT3 class. Mark Kadrowski and Reed Rundle, front row of that. So be a good first-time winner for one of them. They haven't. I don't think I've seen any of them ever win. Robert Barros in third, David Berry with the 4th. Berry won a race at Silverstone, if memory serves. Andrew Humphrey and Terry Dahl in position number 6. Dennis Griffin and James Prostel Jr. Good qualifying run for him. Pretty odd pace with the rest of the drivers, with Bill Pollocky at 9th, Ed Sutcliffe in 10th. And then this is the guys in LMP who did not qualify: Aaron Law and Shane Hunter. Now we are going to be running the very abbreviated pace lap here, as we are going to be headed down the back straightaway of sorts. I do believe, yep, you can see they're headed underneath the Dodge overpass. And then we will be heading right into the final chicane in just a matter of moments here. So the pace car will take the hard left-hand turn, heading into the final chicane, exiting the wall of champions here, and then we'll head down and wait for Barney to give us that green flag. Waiting for our LMP2s. First time in a few seasons they've had a time to race here in the Red Sox Racing League. Their green flag has been waved, and they're going to sail it off into turn number 1. Robertson will clear Mark Wilson rather handily there. They'll head through the long 180-degree hairpin up into the first of multiple chicanes here, but let's go check out our GT3 lineup. Kadrowski in the Red Sox themed car. He's going to take them right down, and they're going to fire off into the opening complex here. And we have a large field of them. We'll see if they can get all situated. Oh no, Kadrowski misses the first corner. He's going to put himself into the wall. Terrible race there. Terrible start for our GT3 pole sitter. Let's quickly go back and try to see what happened to him from a different perspective. I think he just overcooked it. Yep. He realized he wasn't going to make it. And I'm almost wondering if that diversion to try to miss actually made it worse for him. But up front, Ryan Robertson able to pull away quite significantly, which is very much a surprise because of the fact of the slipstream, as I said in opening. There's so many opportunities here to get that long draft, and he is already out of the slipstream range at this point at about 1.7 seconds and counting. So this race very much in control of Ryan Robertson very early in tonight's efforts here. So, you know, we've talked about last season with Mitch Heller and even Ryan Robertson for that matter, having just a situation of just not screwing up and the race is yours. And when you're already up 2 seconds on lap 1, very much turning into a race where it will just be a matter of not screwing up, and you'll probably have a very high probability of success. Onboard James Prostel Jr. there in the starry number 16 Porsche, trying to see if he can close in on Terry Dahl. One of the better efforts of speed I think we've seen from James Prostel thus far. Terry Dahl in fifth, Humphrey, Berry, Barros, and then up front looks like Reed Rundle's pulled ahead to about 3 seconds. He'll switch the ticker over if we can to lap times and get a scope of who has what. See in LMP, Ryan Robertson up by a half second a lap, so he is absolutely just smacking him there. So that half second a lap already has him up 4 seconds. But as we look at GT3, a 36.8, so a full second last time by Rundle had over Barros, and Barros is not a slouch within the series. He's a very competitive, very fast driver who has had his share of success. So to see a second difference per lap, very much surprising for me. Now, of course, it could be a matter of making a mistake. It could just be a matter of, one bad lap, maybe hitting a curb too hard, something on those lines. But we'll keep it up just for a little bit longer and see what the variance is. You can see the kind of the conga train there between Barros, Berry, Humphrey, Dahl, Prostel. All of them likely getting a little bit of influence from the slipstream, so their laps aren't going to be entirely natural in that capacity, especially once you're within a half a second. You're definitely getting some facilitation from the car in front of you here, and then you just have to know how to use it. Sometimes these drivers will have that extra speed into the corner with their braking zone that they would use without any kind of form of slipstream, and then you enter the corner hotter than expected, which partially leads into the situation that happened with Mark Kudrowski, who's again running dead last right now and has already made a pit stop, ironically enough. Because when you take a green flag on many circuits, you're going to enter the initial braking zone for the first corner at a different pace than you would have at any other time in your practice. You're not usually going to exit, head down a straightaway, get a green flag, and, in turn one, they're probably entering turn one on the first lap at about 75% of their full speed. So you have to adjust your braking zone to the fact that you're going a different rate of speed for that one lap. And I don't think Kudrowski was able to adjust on the fly to where should I brake given the circumstances here, and that kind of sent him off into the grass and did hit the wall. Maybe he used his fast repair already, not quite sure, as he's already getting passed by Ryan Robertson. Our first class interaction on the day was estimated we'd have about 4 of them here if the numbers do line up as expected there. And Les Turner still working on Mark Wilson there. And this is probably the closest I think he has been in quite some time. Les taking a little bit of a peek out there, I think just enough to make his presence known. You'll see some drivers just peek out there a lot of times right before the braking zone, and that just kind of lets the guy in front know, hey, I'm there. And even if you're not close enough to make a move, it gets the guy in front just thinking. And a lot of times that can lead into mistakes that can facilitate passes there. Looks like Wilson kind of drifted up a little bit higher there in that corner than he would have liked to. Usually you want to hold that turn number 3 right on the curb, but did drift a little bit higher. Some more class interaction going on as Mark Wilson getting by Mark Wilson getting by Mark Kudrowski there. And Ryan Robertson up by 7 seconds right now. Massive lead. GT3. Just trying to find some other stuff going on right now. We have David Berry, who is in third, starting to work on Robert Barros, who's fallen about almost 4 seconds behind our class leader of Reed Rundle, who's up there just doing his own thing. Now, I remember there was a race, I failed to remember what race it was, but there was a race a few weeks ago where he had a good car, good qualifying run, but kind of botched it in the very, very beginning, and it did cost him. So I think at this point, you know, this is turning into a race for him, similar to the race that I said about, you know, what Mitch Heller used to have, is don't screw it up, and the race ultimately will be yours. So at this point, you know, he has the lead. He's running, you know, at least 2-3 tenths faster a lap, if not more. So really just run the pace that you need to run to keep the lead you have, and just manage the gap. Really, that's all you got to do. A lot of action going on here. In at about second through fourth, or rather third and fourth, looks like is where the money is at right now. West Turner did get around Mark Wilson. So Dwayne McCarthy looks like he's taken his turn on Mark Wilson, as they did have to get around, I believe it to be Andrew Humphrey. One of the GT3s they were just surpassing there. Can't quite make out who it was on the fly. But that's 003 trying to make a move there. And just in front, Les Turner is getting stuck behind. I believe that's Bill Paulucky in the orange car. So that's going to slow him up, maybe allow Mark Wilson to close back in. But Bill Paulucky will get out of the way, and Turner's going to get himself sideways, and big impact there for Turner and Dwayne McCarthy. Terrible break there. Let's go back on replay. Check out what happened there from the blimp cam. Oh, not the blimp cam, evidently. We'll use this cam. Yep, he just cooked it, so I think it was a matter of, I mean, Paulucky gave him the line. Front clip just completely decimates there on Les Turner's car. But it's one of those situations where you're thrown off into the braking zone, slightly different braking point, you know, a different speed entering that chicane than usual, and it's just enough to throw him off, locked him up there and dead sideways. And the unfortunate part of Montreal is where it is a temporary, it's a street circuit in certain areas, but on other parts it is, you know, permanent circuit. But there's those parts in the middle encompassed by walls. It is the street circuit section essentially, so not a lot of room on either side. If you run too wide on a chicane, you're gonna find yourself pounding the fence there. That was exactly what happened. So we have obviously Dwayne McCarthy in the pits. Kevin Kyle has a little off-track excursion. See what happened here. Replay starting to get... oh my goodness, something happened radically here. Kudrowski behind, Kevin Kyle into the... What in... we're gonna have to check out that one more time. No idea in the world what happened there. On board with Kudrowski. Kudrowski, I don't know if he was going for the pits there, but it did not look in any way like he was fully prepared to slow down for that corner. So a lot of carnage here at the 20-minute mark, well, rather 20 minutes to go, so 15 minutes just about halfway in tonight's efforts, and we are really starting to thin out here. Ryan Robertson up by 15 seconds over Mark Wilson, and then Todd Barron-Pietri. Haven't talked about him, but he is in the podium in class, and that really is it for the LMPs. Everybody else has really had issues. Kevin Kyle just got decimated there, as we saw. Les Turner had his issues, and then a couple did not start the race. And then in GT3, Reed Rundle up by about 4.5 seconds over Robert Barros. David Berry still has not found a way by. Let's see what else we got going on. Really not too much going on here at this point in the race. Overcooking there, but Barros was able to cut back and make something happen and keep that position there. Let's just kind of do a little through the field here if we can before pit stop start. Ryan Robertson up front in class. We'll just kind of run through thoroughly everything that has happened in tonight's efforts. Mark Wilson with the second, Todd Baron-Pietri third in class, Dwayne McCarthy fourth, and then starting our GT3's Reed Rundle leading it down with Robert Barros in the second spot in class, David Berry running in third, Andrew Humphrey running in fourth, Terry Dahl running in the fifth position, James Prostel Jr. running in sixth, Dennis Griffin in seventh, Bill Paulucky in eighth. Slightly out of order, but just the remainder of the drivers. Les Turner, he's fifth in class, but just because of the scoring and everything, he's being shown behind everybody. Ed Sutcliffe back there, ninth in class. Kevin Kyle is sixth in class. Again, it's all just kind of in the order that iRacing is outputting the data right here, so I know it's out of order within the classes, and then Mark Kudrowski has pulled it behind the wall. Should have pit stops coming up pretty soon here, because I'm a little quiet on the mic here, so I do apologize for that, getting over a little sickness here. And, there was this kind of quiet doings here at Montreal. Just have I think we may have something going on. Dennis Griffin and Bill Paul. Dennis Griffin and I don't know why that's registering as a battle there, because they are not battling for a position. Bill Paulucky, Dennis Griffin, they're separated by about 2 seconds. Probably this is the closest battle on track at the moment. Everybody else kind of off in their own little bubbles. Terry Dahl and James Prostel, they've been kind of within that little second bubble for roughly 6 or so laps at this point, and Prostel not been able to eat into that gap anymore. And just behind that, that's Todd Baron-Pietri, who, again, he is in third in class, but he's also 18 seconds behind the next position within class, so not really too much of a impatience he's going to have in order to make that pass. And now he'll get in between Prostel and Dahl. Dahl should be easily surpassed right here on this mid straightaway here, heading into one more chicane, and then we head down the little straightaway into the hairpin here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Circuit Gilles Villeneuve still hosts the Canadian Grand Prix for Formula One. Also hosted a NASCAR nationwide. I'm not sure if they held it. I don't think they held it during Xfinity time frame, but definitely held the NASCAR nationwide races here for many years. And was actually a favorite amongst many people. Was one of the first races that NASCAR actually ran in the rain here. As it rained about 2-3 years in a row. Had some very interesting finishes with Robbie Gordon and stuff here at Montreal. We do have McCarthy back in the pits, and Dwayne McCarthy will take it behind the wall for the evening. And at this point, with about 14 minutes left, pit stop should be around the corner for just about everybody. Ryan Robertson, 24 seconds up over Mark Wilson at the moment. And lap time wise, currently running about 2.5 seconds faster per lap than Mark Wilson. Now, Todd Marin-Pietri was 6 seconds slower than our leader and 4 seconds slower than Mark Wilson, but I think that may be heavily influenced by elapsed traffic here. Let's just kind of get a little scope of Todd Marin-Pietri's race. His best lap is a 30 flat. So even on the best lap around here, still running about 1.5 seconds slower than Ryan Robertson. So obviously that is eating into the large deltas in lap times that we do have at the moment. Still waiting on pit stops for the vast majority of the field here. The only drivers really to come to pit road were those that have had damage in other incidents here on the evening, which was a vast majority of the LMP class. Of course, with McCarthy getting taken out there in Les Turner's incident, Les Turner naturally having the issue, but Les Turner was able to get the fast repair. Remember, the front clip came off of his car, and you know they do have the one fast repair that they are given, and he was able to put that on, and now he is in 4th in class, and seeing if there's any possibility that he may be able to attrition his way up to 3rd if Marin-Pietri has any problems. Reed Rundle still up in class, but just trying to take a look here on the ticker, which for some reason is extremely unorganized here, so I'll have to work on that in a future endeavor here. But yeah, Barrow's 4.5 seconds, 4.8 seconds, so the gap is not growing nearly at the rate that Ryan Robertson pulling away, but obviously Reed Rundle still running some great laps, and here he comes to take his pit stop here with just under 12 minutes to go. This could be, within this class, something that makes or breaks the race, because 5 seconds of variance in the pits, you know, on the track heads into the pits, that could be easily messed up or altered or even gained depending on the choices that Reed Rundle does take here. Pit stop 9.6 seconds, so a healthy refueling there. Usually, I mean, sometimes we see pit stops within the 8-second ballpark, so a 9-second stop infers that he maybe took a little bit of bonus fuel, which in his position, I would do the exact same thing. Bill Paulucky coming in. Paulucky with a 10-second pit stop, so a little bit more petrol going into that number 81 car. Still waiting for the stop for our overall leader, the former Ryan Robertson here. And that is probably the toughest part of the track there, exiting that chicane. You're quickly met by a right-hand wall, and then this is the hardest section between you know, all the chicanes and the tight confines. This is kind of what reminds you of a Monaco in very loose terms here, with the fact that you're you know, just navigating walls all over with no room to spare. And then as you get to the back end of the circuit, that is where it turns into a bit more traditional feeling circuit. You have a lot more room to navigate, more room to play with, and you can make those mistakes. The track's a little bit wider and it feels a little bit better. That's where they are at the moment. Just getting here, and I do have the Discord open, so the drivers communicating. Terry Dahl is in the pits, as well as Dennis Griffin. Mark Kudrowski, remember, he had that very interesting incident with Kevin Kyle during the pits. Just basically just said, as Ryan Robertson, our overall leader, comes in, basically just saying, Kudrowski, that just kind of mistimed all of the braking zones. He didn't anticipate the speed that Kyle was going to be taking into the last hairpin, and then he didn't anticipate the speed, as I said earlier, that he would have entering turn 1 on the initial start. So really just not a day. Could have started off, well, it started off really well, but just quickly went downhill in a matter of about 15 seconds from taking the green flag there, as Dahl completes his pit stop, a long pit stop in relation to his other counterparts. 12-1 other drivers right around the 10-second stops, if not sooner. And then Ryan Robertson up there having a quicker pit stop than his counterparts, and he was able to pit and still be ahead of Todd Marin-Pietri by 25 seconds. So Marin-Pietri was about 45 seconds or so behind. So with a 32-second pit lane delta time here at Montreal, Robertson was able to pit and still be within the lead. Mark Wilson back to third now, but he should be able to swallow that up. Probably have about a 10-second lead or so on Marin-Pietri once he makes his pit stop, which should be presumably this lap, if not this, within very, very few laps from now, because the fuel cell definitely coming to a empty situation here. 50% fuel load, and we're 18 laps in. A lot of times these pit stops come right around the 10-minute to go mark. I mean, I've seen pit stops as late as 6 minutes, depending on the race here. Looks like we have a couple other takers. James Prostel just exiting his stall along with Andrew Humphrey. So we're the only driver on track who has yet to meet their pit crew is the number 808 of Todd Marin-Pietri. So I would take a very healthy bet that he will make that maneuver this time by, headed down the final back straightaway. And if he remains to the right of your screen, that would imply that he is coming to his crew. If he remains to the right, there he does. So again, he should drop back to third. And then we're basically right back to our pre-pit stop situations here. And again, Robertson with that position up front and just literally cruising 27 seconds of a lead that he has encompassed, and that is how much faster he has been. I mean, he hasn't really had any competition, any tangible competition in tonight's effort. So we'll see if next week Mitch Heller will be able to join him and kind of be the patriarchs of the class. Again, another Jason Breifogel, another one who used to run in the LMP, who is not here today, of course, with iRacing staff. So if he's not here, it's either, maybe for all we know, there's he's stuck at the office with a new development here. I believe he's in the web developing team there, if memory does serve. But let's just go over very quickly while we have the ample time to do so. In case you do not remember, our new Red Sox Racing League schedule for this season. Of course, this week at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, and the next week, first time we've covered it in a broadcast, Laguna Seca. So that will be a super difficult track for multi-class. That track is hard to pass in just about anything beyond a Skippy, and even in a Skippy it's hard to pass on, so let alone with the triple the downforce and triple the speed. Watkins Glen Cup, which is essentially going to be the Daytona of the schedule, with the cup layout there, which omits the boot. So this basically 90-degree corner, S, chicane, corner, straightaway. So a lot of slipstream in there. That should be a very tight race. Heading to Spa. So Spa is a track that is basically, in its layout form, is kind of a Montreal on steroids, if you will, because this track is about 2.6 miles, Spa at 4 miles, but they do have many similar characteristics there, with chicanes, long straightaways, and tight hairpins. Circuito de Jerez Angel Nieto, brand new track to the service. I have purchased it, have not turned a lap there, so that'll be new for a lot of people. And then we have a build week, which means we'll be off and seeing what new updates iRacing has to throw at us. Not rain, that's already been confirmed. and then a series staple, Road Atlanta, to round out our schedule. And of course, you can sign up on the iRacing League page or on Facebook. Just have to send them a message, and if you look at our PTR TV Facebook, I did kind of tag the league in the post so you can very easily access them. Closing in on 4 minutes to go here, which with a minute 30 on the watch, that would be about 3 laps to go. I mean, this depends where we are on circuit, so laps are about a minute 30, so 2 laps would be 3 minutes. So it'll either be, no, so it really just depends where we are when we hit the stripe, if it's 2 to go or 3 to go. I think if we hit the stripe with anything more than 3 minutes, which I believe we will based on what it looks like right now, I believe we'll be on 2 laps to go right now. This became a very interesting situation at Makeeng, where my estimates were completely wrong, and we ended up having about a 50 feet run to the checkers. But we're hitting it with 320, so let's see what the final taking is here at the stripe. So they'll hit it with 313, so this very well may be 3 laps to go then. Or I guess we'll just find out together, shall we? So whenever I estimate things, they usually end up being grotesquely wrong, so we'll see what happens here. Of course, our other class leader, just behind Ryan Robertson there, Reed Rundle, so there was 2 interactions on the day, at least amongst the class leaders, as Reed Rundle is now being scored 2 laps off of the overall pace, so at least 2 interactions here on the evening. I believe I was told 4, so Terry said he was probably wrong, so I guess he was in the due course of the evening. Coming into the final hairpin here is Reed Rundle. That leads still 4.5 seconds. Now David Berry was close to Barros earlier on, but he's fallen back about 3.5 seconds. James Prostel was able to get by Terry Dahl. Now Dahl is running faster lap times, but he is now 4 seconds behind. A large portion of that is due to pit stops here, because you can see here on the pit stop timer that James Prostel with a 9-second pit stop, Terry Dahl with a 12-second pit stop. So that is largely more fuel into that number 53, but unfortunately that may be something that cost him a position. So we are at a minute 30 right now, but we're already well into the lap, so we'll probably end up hitting the stripe with in and around 15 seconds on the clock. That is my estimation anyways, so that would give us 1 more lap, so we'll complete 24, so I believe that is right on the estimation of what everybody predicted. So I would imagine the fuel cells would be accommodating of that, 'cause there was a couple situations, I can't remember what race it was, where basically I believe Mitch Heller slowed down very aggressively to try to let the GT3 leader by, and in doing so actually gave them an extra lap to run, which luckily they were all prepared for it. But you know, if you're kind of estimating it's going to be this amount of laps and you add a lap amount of fuel for that amount of laps, you could find yourself running out of it on the very end. Coming into the final chicane here, I said 15 seconds at the stripe. I think I'm going to be dead spot on. Oh my god, I did something right for a change in my life here. So this will be the white flag. Yep, and the flagman is updated, so formalized there. 33 seconds up over Mark Wilson. And again, the lap times have not even been close here. I can say that the best lap for Mark Wilson was a 29.2. Best lap for Robertson, a 28 flat. Remember, these are all fixed setup races, so everybody's running the same setup. So this is just purely skill, and I'm not sure how much practice goes in, but this is just, just shows the talent that Ryan Robertson does have here in, switching cars and still remaining competitive. And don't count out Reed Rundle there. Reed Rundle is losing a little bit of his lead, but I almost wonder how much of it is just absolutely backing the pace down, because if you don't need to run max pace to keep the lead, it does not make any sense to do so and make that risk. But I believe that was just the final chicane that Robertson did exit here, coming down the back straightaway for the final time. Heading into that final chicane is Ryan Robertson, exiting the wall of champions. And then coming down the front straightaway here, waving in glory, Ryan Robertson wins here at Montreal in the LMP2 class. And then Reed Rundle not far behind. He will head down the long back straightaway here, heading into that final chicane. Over the wall of champions and down the front straightaway. He'll do it in slightly less flair, but Reed Rundle getting a class win here in race number 1. So congratulations go to our drivers here at Montreal for a nice good showing to start off a brand new season here within the Red Sox Racing League. And Ryan Robertson, of course, never a slouch to finding victory lane, but Reed Rundle, I don't know if I've ever talked to him to victory lane, and if I have, it has been a long time, so good run for him. Just going to let everybody here, because we do have a very long lap here. And all these guys, remember, they do have to drive all the way back around and get to their pit stalls. Except if they don't get to their pit stalls, then they will be penalized by not having enough fuel in the league rules here. So everyone will be doing that. But while they do that, let's head down and give you the final rundown of results here today from Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Ryan Robertson getting the overall win, with Mark Wilson with the second, Todd Pietri in third, Les Turner with a fourth, and then Kevin Kyle finishes in fifth in the LMP2 class. Remember, he was very much taken out there by Mark Kudrowski. Unintentionally, of course. Reed Rundle gets that win by 3.5 seconds over Robert Barros. David Berry with the third, Andrew Humphrey with the fourth, and James Prostel gets a good solid run here to start off the season. Second page of results as follows. Terry Dahl with the sixth, Dennis Griffin with the seventh, Ed Sutcliffe finishes in eighth in class, Bill Pollocky eighth in class, Ed Sutcliffe with the ninth, Mark Kudrowski 10th within the GT3 class. Then our stragglers from LMP, Dwayne McCarthy, Aaron Law, and then Shane Hunter round out the results here on the evening. But looks like we'll head right down to Victory Circle, wherever it may be here on circuit, and go ahead and talk to our overall winner here on the evening. Ryan Robertson basically just stunk the show up, but that's a sign that it was a good race. Oh, we don't need that one, we need that one. And so, all right, we got Ryan here, someone that we talk to quite regularly here. And Ryan, we just got to be bluntly honest, man. Were you catching some Z's in the car here tonight?
I was cruising a little bit. I was working on some fuel saving game a little bit, but no, it was fun, just chilling. The GT3s kept us on our toes a lot too, so because trying to pass with these, they're not as easy as it was with the LMDHs. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, and at least you had a lot of space here to work with here at Montreal. And I know you're probably looking to see if Mitchell was going to be here, but I don't know if that's a one-off deal or not. But back to the faster class. I mean, how much of an adjustment is it? You talked about having to deal with the lap traffic. Well, now you're dealing with it on the other side, being the faster versus the slower. So what's it like switching the mindset here, going back to the top of the pylon?
It takes a bit of adjustment, especially going from something with ABS to something without. Like, it's a completely different braking game, and just carrying the way through, carrying the speed through the corners in this car is completely different than a GT3. So it's an adjustment, but it's a fun one. And it's kind of like relearning stuff. I don't think I've the last time I raced an LMP2, I think it was the last time we ran it in this league. So I don't know, 6 months ago or so. Yeah, so just had a little bit of practice to get back in, and starting to feel good, and enjoying it.
And then I think next week, at least from my perspective as a broadcaster, heading to first time in the series to Laguna Seca, which is probably going to feel like a go-kart track for you guys. What are you feeling like going back to back next week?
We'll see how it goes. I really enjoy Laguna. It'll be interesting in an LMP just because it's so off camber in areas and easy to lock up in certain ones. So we'll see. But I'm sure it'll be a blast, and just have a great time, just kind of racing around and trying to keep it all on the track.
All right, man. Well, congrats getting a solid run. Any final words before I let you go?
I just want to shout out my team, Satellite Racing. Shout out to Les and Terry for running the league, and shout out to you for casting. All
right, sounds good, man. We'll talk to you.
See you, Court.
And I haven't talked to, I don't believe this may be the first time, maybe it's not, Reed, but you kind of had a similar run to Ryan there, not quite the 41-second gap there, but led basically flag to flag after Mark had his issue in turn 1 and didn't have any mistakes here, and you put yourself in victory lane, man. How was your race?
That was good. I think I've talked to you one other time, Corey, but it's been a good year or so, I think. But, it was a good race. When Mark made that mistake early, for me, I only run road courses, once a week in the series and a little bit here and there. So for me, I just came into this race tonight saying, just stay consistent, be careful. And that's what I did. And once I got a little bit of a lead, I was worried about Robert catching back up because he's always better on long runs than I am, because just in general, I tend to burn him up because I don't run them enough. But I was able to get out to enough of a lead and then just stay consistent and smooth. And yeah, it was a good run.
Yeah, I know that's how it usually works for me too. I don't know how to tire save to save my life here, but one thing I want to say from a physics side, because I was kind of baffled by it, is the slipstream not really working in this car? Because I saw guys 6, 7, 10, so I'm like, all right, they're going to get him down the back straightaway, and it really didn't seem like you guys were moving. So once you got that lead, you really didn't even have to worry out of the rearview mirror, it appeared.
Yeah, and I don't know, even in practice, I really wasn't paying that much attention. I didn't really run a lot of laps either right in front of or right behind anybody. So I really couldn't say as far as that goes, so I'm not sure.
All right, well, better to not answer than to lie. So appreciate that. But what are your odds headed next week? Of course, it's track everybody knows from every single sim under the world, a free piece of content, Laguna Seca. What kind of confidence level do you have heading into that place?
Well, super technical track, and like I said, only running road course stuff once a week and not running much else. I won't put much high hopes other than I'm going to try and stay consistent, stay out of trouble, and see what we can do at that point.
Yeah, like I said, it's probably going to feel like a go-kart track given the cars you guys are racing, so good luck there. But any final words before I let you go?
Well, just want to say thanks to you for your broadcast. Always do a great job. Les and Terry for the series. Little shout out to my dad down in Florida. Hopefully he's got a chance to watch once in a while, and hopefully he was watching tonight. The wife, for letting me have my fun hobby, and our sponsors, Little Caesar, Solo Stove, and R&R Imports and Exotics. So
I always love the guy that has to thank the wife, because I have to thank the wife for letting me even do this in the first place. So
yeah, for sure.
All right, we'll talk to you, man. Congrats.
Thanks, Corey.
All right, so that is a broadcast here on PTR TV. Want to thank everyone for tuning in, and solid runs by both Ryan Robertson and Reed Rundle there, grabbing the wins here on the season. Make sure you stay tuned tomorrow night, 100% D2 at Kansas here in the next gens, and then we'll be right back on Monday. Well, actually, no. SSR all off. So we'll be back on Thursday with that aforementioned race here at Laguna Seca. But that's Corey signing out of the booth. Have a great night, and we'll catch you next time.